Let's now shift focus to Europe. Violence, arson and clashes. That's what multiple cities across France witnessed as hundreds of protesters vented their anger against controversial pension reforms. On Thursday, French protesters clashed with security forces. The day marked the most serious violence yet of a 3-month revolt against President Macron's reform plan. The government said that almost 150 police personnel were injured and scores of protesters were arrested nationwide. Protests descended into chaos in several cities, including in capital Paris, where protesters lit fires in the historic center of the French capital. The numbers in Paris and other cities were higher than in previous protest days, given new momentum by Macron's refusal to back down on the reform.
Il y a les collègues derrière avec l'interpellaire, ils sont derrière les sortez-les.
Police and protesters again clashed on the streets of Paris during a major demonstration. Security forces fired tear gas and charged at crowds with batons. Protesters lit fires in the streets, setting ablaze pallets and piles of uncollected rubbish, prompting firefighters to intervene. Several hundred black-clad demonstrators broke windows of banks, shops and fast food outlets and destroyed street furniture. Protesters briefly occupied the tracks at Lyon train station in the French capital, and some blocked access to Charles De Gaulle airport. Meanwhile, in southwestern city of Bordeaux, the city hall was set ablaze as protesters raged against the government's plan to raise the retirement age. Videos showed flames at the entrance of the building, which damaged its massive wooden door. British monarch King Charles is due to visit the city next week. Meanwhile, in the northeastern city of Lille, scuffles broke out between the protesters and security personnel. The local police chief was injured by a stone. Police threw tear gas shells to disperse the demonstrators. The French Prime Minister has said that the violence seen during nationwide protests was unacceptable. The Interior Minister said that across France, 149 members of the security forces had been injured. At least 172 people were arrested, including 72 in Paris. The Interior Minister blamed thugs for the violence, who he said had come to Paris to have a go at the cops and public buildings. The uproar over the pension reform has turned into the biggest domestic crisis of Macron's second term in office. A recent survey showed that Macron's personal approval rating was at just 28%, the lowest since the anti-government Yellow Vest protest movement in 2018-19.